Celine is the best-selling French-language artist in music history. Her Las Vegas residency totaling over 1,100 shows across 16 years. But recently, Celine has been uncharacteristically out of the spotlight, battling a terrifying disease.
There are many good things that are widely known about Celine Dion, so only a few people can understand the immense trouble and pain she has had to go through in recent years. Besides the fame, accolades, and countless platinums in her name, what is happening to Celine Dion as we speak will leave you heartbroken for the star. What exactly is currently happening to her? And what are the details of the other dark shadows that seem to surround Celine Dion's life? Join us as we explore the shocking revelation about your favorite vocal powerhouse, the sad story of Celine Dion. Years before the recent tragedy that has threatened both Celine Dion's career and personal life, things seem to be going great for her. Being a star at just 12 years old might sound like the perfect dream, but behind the scenes, Celine Dion's hasn't been all glitz and glamour. Sure, her career has been filled with thrilling moments, from sold-out concerts and powerful ballads to lyrics reminding us of love's beauty. But beneath the spotlight, her journey has been anything but simple. It's a story with heavy moments that could bring anyone to tears, and now, something even more alarming seems to happen to the music legend. It left fans across the globe worried sick about her well-being. Before diving into the current situation, let's step back and revisit her early life. This chapter wasn't exactly free of heartbreak. Celine Dion was born into a large and lively family in Charlemagne, Quebec, and was the youngest of 14 children. While having such a big family meant constant energy and music in the house, it also came with challenges. Money was tight. Celine grew up in a modest home where space was so limited she often had to sleep in a drawer. Yes, a drawer. But even in such humble circumstances, music was always at the heart of their family. Her parents, both musically inclined, nurtured her talent early on. Celine's mother quickly noticed her incredible voice, even before she started singing professionally. In fact, her mother wrote Celine's first song and sent a tape of her singing to a music producer who would change her life forever.
I'm very excited to sing this song because it started my career and my mother wrote it for me.
That producer was René Angelil. When René heard the tape, he was mesmerized. He immediately invited Celine for an audition, and what happened next was extraordinary. René handed her a pencil and asked her to sing into it, pretending she was performing in front of a packed arena. As Celine sang, he knew he had discovered something magical. He believed in her so much that he mortgaged his house to fund her first album, and just like that, a star was born. But fame isn't a shield against life's struggles, and for Celine, they started early. One of her biggest challenges was her appearance. Growing up, she struggled with her self-image and didn't feel like she fit in. According to her, popularity was reserved for kids who were cool, tough, pretty, or excelled at school. She felt like she was none of those things, which left her isolated and insecure. In her words, she wasn't tough, wasn't pretty, and didn't excel academically. That understanding consumed her and left a lasting mark on her early years. The one thing that brought her comfort and joy during those tough times was music. It became her escape, her passion, and eventually, her purpose. Music gave Celine a voice in a world where she felt invisible. It became her safe space, something she wanted to do forever, and while her impressive talent and René's unwavering support helped her achieve early success, they couldn't completely erase the shadows that seemed to follow her. So what are the details of these dark shadows? Marital and career challenges. Celine Dion's relationship with her manager, René Angelil, was one of her life's most remarkable and touching stories.
René Angelil, the man who has managed her, molded her, and married her.
From the beginning, René was more than just a manager. He believed in her talent like no one else. His dedication to her career was unwavering, but their bond went deeper than music. Over time, the 35-year-old manager, 26 years older than Celine, developed a romantic connection with the young singer. It wasn't immediate, but by the time Celine turned 19, their professional relationship had blossomed into love. For a while, they kept their relationship a secret. Celine dropped hints in her 1992 album, The Color of My Love, filled with romantic undertones. But it wasn't until the album's release that she revealed their love publicly. Celine shared in a heartfelt note, "René was the first man I kissed. He's my man and the love of my life." It was a bold declaration, but this revelation wasn't without its challenges. The significant age gap between Celine and René became a hot topic, leading to backlash from the public and media. People questioned their relationship, and the criticism overwhelmed and hurt Celine, but their love was strong enough to withstand the storm. They stayed true to each other, and in December 1994, they tied the knot in a grand ceremony that felt like a fairy tale. Their wedding was nothing short of spectacular. Held at Montreal's Notre Dame Basilica, it was covered in US Weekly and captured worldwide attention. Celine wore a stunning 20-foot-long gown adorned with lace and crystals, embodying the picture of a princess. For many, this was the epitome of happiness, when Celine and René seemed to have it all. But life had other plans. 4 years into their marriage, René was diagnosed with throat cancer.
Celine Dion revealed Monday her husband, René Angelil, is battling cancer at a Boston hospital.
It was devastating news for the couple. Ever the devoted wife, Celine decided to put her career on hold for 2 years to care for him. She was by his side through it all, attending his surgeries and offering constant support. Thankfully, by 2000, René was in remission, and the couple celebrated by renewing their vows. This moment was a brief reprieve from the challenges they had faced. The following year, their family grew with the birth of their first child, René Charles. It seemed like happiness was finally within reach for Celine and René. Over the years, they welcomed more children, twins Eddie and Nelson, and their family life flourished, but their joy was short-lived. By the end of 2013, René's cancer returned, and this time, it was even more aggressive. Once again, Celine put her career on hold to care for him, showing remarkable strength in the face of despair. In an emotional interview, she admitted, "I am scared of losing him because it's bad, but I have to show myself, my husband, and my kids that I'm strong and we're okay." Despite her bravery, René's health deteriorated, and in 2016 he lost his battle with cancer.
There is sad news tonight from a music icon, Celine Dion, her husband René Angelil, passing away after a long battle with cancer.
René's final wishes were proof of their love. He wanted to die in Celine's arms, and she ensured that happened. His passing left Celine heartbroken, but she honored his memory by returning to the stage shortly after, as he had wished. René was laid to rest in a heartfelt funeral, but Celine's grief didn't end there. Just 2 days after René's death, her brother Daniel also passed away, leaving her to grapple with immense sorrow. In the face of such loss, Celine showed incredible resilience. She channeled her grief into her music, delivering powerful performances and achieving even greater success. Her determination to keep moving forward inspired millions of fans worldwide, so her struggles were far from over. Recently, Celine Dion has been dealt another heartbreaking blow, leaving her fans deeply concerned about her well-being. Her trials continue, proving that even icons like Celine Dion are not immune to life's hardships. But one thing remains certain: Celine's strength and spirit will always shine through. Let's now delve into the recent challenges that have shaken the life of this beloved music legend. A devastating health challenge. Celine Dion has faced her share of heartbreak, but nothing could have prepared her for the battle that came next. In December 2022, she shared a heartbreaking revelation with her 5.3 million Instagram followers. She had been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, a rare and incurable neurological disorder.
But Celine Dion wants her fans to see what she's enduring. The beloved singer suffers from stiff person syndrome. She was at her doctor's for a checkup when a seizure swept over her.
This condition, which affects just 1 in a million people, causes debilitating muscle spasms, making everyday activities like walking and singing a struggle. This news was shattering for a performer like Celine, whose voice has captivated millions. Celine spoke directly to her fans in a 5-minute video about her health struggles. "As you know, I've always been an open book, and I wasn't ready to say anything before, but I'm ready now," she said. Her voice was steady but filled with emotion as she explained the challenges she had been facing. "I've been dealing with problems with my health for a long time, and it's been really difficult for me to face these challenges and to talk about everything that I've been going through." Celine went on to reveal more details about her condition. "While we're still learning about this rare condition, we now know this is what's been causing all the spasms I've been having. Unfortunately, these spasms affect every aspect of my daily life, sometimes causing difficulties when I walk and not allowing me to use my vocal cords to sing the way I'm used to." For fans, it was a devastating revelation. Still, for Celine, it was a moment of honesty she had held back for far too long. What most people didn't know was that Celine had been battling this disorder in silence for years. She often had to stop singing and let the crowd take over during performances. She later confessed that there were times when she used her microphone as a crutch to hide the pain. Despite the internal agony, she kept pushing through, delivering powerful performances that left audiences in awe. Imagine the strength it must have taken for her to sing her heart out while enduring such physical torment. One particularly horrifying incident occurred after a recording session for Love Again. Celine experienced a severe spasm in her foot that left her unable to speak. All she could do was squeeze a team member's hand to communicate. Dr. Amanda Parker, her physician, later described the terrifying experience. That anxiety, that panic, that continued spasm that was not breaking very quickly triggered a complete whole-body spasm. This is a spasm where the patient is fully aware of what's happening. There's a lot of anxiety, adrenaline rushing, and panic. Following her diagnosis, Celine made the painful decision to postpone her upcoming tour dates. It was a tough call, but she knew she needed to prioritize her health. Fans have been overwhelmingly supportive, flooding her with messages of love and encouragement. Celine, in turn, assured them that she has a dedicated team of doctors working tirelessly to help her manage her condition. She remains hopeful that she'll one day return to the stage. "Music is my life," she said. "I'm not giving up on it." Celine released a Prime Video documentary titled "I Am Celine Dion" to give fans a closer look at her journey. The film offers an intimate glimpse into her life, showing the highs and lows of her battle with stiff person syndrome. It's a raw and emotional portrayal of her strength and determination, a reminder of the resilience that has defined her career. Celine has made it clear that she's determined to sing again, no matter how long it takes. "Even if I have to crawl back to the stage," she said, "I will do it." Despite the challenges, Celine has publicly appeared, radiating grace and courage. She's often seen smiling, proving that her spirit remains unbroken. Her presence serves as an inspiration to countless fans who admire her tenacity. She's a living testament to the power of hope, showing the world that it's possible to keep moving forward despite unimaginable odds. Celine Dion's journey has been anything but easy. From losing the love of her life to battling a rare and debilitating illness, she has faced more than her share of hardships. Yet she remains hopeful, resilient, and unyielding through it all. For Celine, the stage is not just a platform, it's her sanctuary. And while her battle is far from over, one thing is certain: she's not giving up. Something interesting is shaking the very foundations of the Roman Catholic Church and the world at large. The Church's apostolic majesty, Pope Francis, has stirred the hearts and minds of millions with his astonishing announcement regarding Jesus Christ.
Pope said Jesus came into the world to take everyone's sins upon himself. Pope Francis asked Christians to look at the crucifix in light of the redemption.
This supreme spiritual leader, known for his humility and progressive stance on social issues, has captured the world's attention once again with his new discovery about the Son of God. According to him, this revelation has the power to transform hearts, minds, and souls for generations to come. But what is this groundbreaking revelation? What impact will it have on Christians worldwide? Keep watching, because what we discovered will blow your mind. The Pope's revealed truth about Jesus Christ. The 31st of March 2024 was Easter Sunday, and on that day, Pope Francis shared some surprising ideas about Jesus. Easter is special for Christians because they believe it's when Jesus came back to life after dying on the cross. Pope Francis's address on Easter Sunday contained some unexpected and thought-provoking ideas about Jesus, the foundational figure of the Christian faith. Even though some Catholics don't always agree with the Pope's teachings, his recent thoughts about Jesus surprised everyone, even those who usually criticize him. So, what did he say that was so surprising? Well, apart from talking about new ways to understand the Bible, he also said we should be kind and loving like Jesus. He believes Jesus cared deeply about poor and struggling people, and he thinks we should too. According to the Pope, during Jesus' time on earth, he was closely connected to the struggles of everyday people. He experienced firsthand the difficulties under the Roman occupation. Pope Francis wants Christians to follow Jesus' example by helping and understanding those around them, especially those who are less fortunate. Pope Francis faces a big challenge in balancing the important beliefs of the Catholic Church with modern life. Instead of only following the exact words written in the Bible, he encourages Catholics to think deeply about its stories. He believes these stories have deeper meanings that can teach us important things about life today. For instance, he thinks the story of creation in the book of Genesis isn't just about how things began. To him, it's a powerful tale that teaches us about our special connection with God and our responsibility to care for the earth. Viewing the Bible in this way makes its teachings more relevant to our lives. Even though this revelation was received well by the Church, it's not news that Pope Francis is known for saying things that make traditional Catholics uncomfortable. Sometimes, even his supporters in the Church have been taken aback by the things he has said. We'll get into that in a short while, but before then, let's look at how Pope Francis leads the Catholic Church. Make sure you stay glued to your seats for this part. Unlike the popes before him, Pope Francis leads the Church in a very unorthodox manner. The Pope has always been known for his simple life and care for the poor and marginalized. Instead of living in the fancy apostolic palace like his predecessors, Pope Francis chose to live in the simpler Vatican guest house. He also dressed modestly, showing he didn't want a lot of wealth and luxury.
Take a look in here, the most private of rooms. This is the Pope's bedroom. Remarkably simple for a Pope. Here is his bed.
During his time as Pope, he has talked about important values like kindness, inclusivity, and protecting the environment. He believes that the Church should welcome everyone, regardless of where they come from or their situation. Pope Francis even tries to connect with people from other religions, not just Catholics, to promote better understanding among everyone.
Pope Francis met with the ecumenical and interreligious delegates March 20th, who had attended his inaugural Mass the day before. The representatives included Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, and Jain leaders.
For a religion that some people think is only for certain people, Pope Francis's inclusive approach is seen as controversial to some traditional Catholics. He works hard to keep the essential beliefs of the Church while also making changes to better fit the modern world. He cares deeply about helping those with little and speaks up for them. Pope Francis once said that some of the happiest people are those who don't have much. However, some of his teachings have also sparked debates about whether the Church should stick to its old beliefs or adapt to the world today. While many people appreciate Pope Francis's changes to the Catholic Church,
Pope Francis opened an important meeting of Catholic bishops today on the future of the Church. Among the controversial topics, whether priests can marry or women can become deacons, and if priests can bless same-sex marriages.
not everyone is pleased with his new ideas about the Bible and Jesus. Some staunch supporters of traditional Catholic beliefs don't like the changes, but it seems that some of the disagreements have eased after his recent talk about Jesus. Like we said earlier, we'll be talking about these controversial teachings and how they were received by the Church. Keep watching, because the next part of this video will shock you. The Pope's most controversial teachings controversy is not uncommon in the Catholic Church. In fact, many people from different religions see the Church as a major hub of huge controversial topics. However, the levels of controversy have risen since Pope Francis was out in charge of the Church. His main critics are conservatives who believe the Bible should be understood just as it's written, without looking into deeper meanings. They worry that exploring the Bible's stories more deeply might change the core beliefs of the Church. On the other hand, people who support Pope Francis believe that understanding the deeper meanings of the Bible stories can actually enhance its teachings and make them more relevant for today's world. Now, here are some of the Pope's most controversial interpretations of the Bible. Brace yourself, because some of them might surprise you. A few years back, there were reports that Pope Francis made some unusual comments. It was said that he suggested humans could vanish and that God would create new species. This came from an interview in an Italian newspaper with a friend of the Pope named Eugenio Scalfari, who happens to be an atheist. In another interview, Scalfari brought this up and asked the Pope about what happens to bad people who end up in hell. He wondered if their souls would suffer forever. In response, Pope Francis allegedly said that people who feel remorse for their actions and ask God for forgiveness won't be punished. Instead, they'll be forgiven and allowed to be with God. However, those who don't feel sorry and can't be forgiven will cease to exist. The Pope mentioned that he doesn't believe in hell. Instead, he thinks that souls who do bad things just disappear. After this interview, the Vatican quickly clarified that what Scalfari wrote wasn't exactly what the Pope said. They stated that the words weren't accurately transcribed, so we shouldn't take them as exactly representing the Pope's views. Despite the Vatican's statement, there was still some disagreement about the interview. At first, they published it in their newspaper and website, then removed it, and then reposted it before eventually taking it down for good. Naturally, this caused a lot of confusion. Some people linked what Scalfari wrote to something the Pope wrote in a book called Amoris Laetitia. In that book, the Pope stated that nobody should be punished forever because that's not what the Bible says. This led some to speculate that perhaps the Pope has different thoughts about hell. In 2013, during another interview, Pope Francis stated that the biggest problems in the world right now are youth unemployment and elderly loneliness. It's unexpected for the Pope to identify these as the most severe issues, especially with the current state of the world. He also reportedly said that trying to convert people to Catholicism doesn't make sense and is foolish. This contradicts the Bible's teachings about spreading the word of Jesus to everyone. Even more surprising, the Pope allegedly said that there is no specific Catholic God, only God in general. This seems to challenge the notion that Catholicism is the sole true religion. Many Catholics were puzzled and upset by what the Pope purportedly said. Some speculated that perhaps the Pope doesn't fully adhere to some of Catholicism's core tenets. Maybe he holds a more generalized view of spirituality that isn't strictly Catholic. If that's the case, it wouldn't come as a shock to many, given his unconventional beliefs. Prepare to be shocked, because the best is yet to come. In another interview in 2015, Pope Francis appeared to suggest that while nobody goes to hell forever, those who don't want to be with God might simply cease to exist after death. So, even though the Vatican denied Scalfari's accuracy, there remains some uncertainty about the Pope's true beliefs regarding hell. Pope Francis has also expressed views that seem to diverge from traditional church teachings on the world's most pressing issues. Yet, Pope Francis's departure from conventional church teachings extends beyond discussions of the afterlife. He has articulated views that appear to diverge from traditional Catholic stances on several pressing global issues. For instance, he has advocated for greater compassion and inclusivity towards marginalized communities, including migrants and refugees. His emphasis on social justice and environmental stewardship has led him to address topics such as income inequality, climate change, and the exploitation of natural resources. The Pope's efforts to reform the Vatican's administrative structures and combat corruption within the Church have signaled a commitment to transparency and accountability. His decision to establish a commission to address cases of sexual abuse within the clergy reflects a determination to confront past failures and prioritize the well-being of victims. During a special mercy year in 2016, the Pope said priests could forgive women who had abortions, and that made some people really angry. He spoke out against abortion strongly in one of his weekly speeches to the faithful gathered on St. Peter's Square. Some people were okay with what he said, but others weren't happy. Then in 2018, the Pope said something really shocking. He said the death penalty is always wrong, no matter what. This was a big change for the Catholic Church, which used to say it was okay in certain cases. However, not everyone welcomed the Pope's stance. Many individuals, both inside and outside the Church, criticized him for it. Some high-ranking Catholic scholars were particularly unhappy as they viewed it as a departure from important Catholic doctrines. Along with some priests, they penned a letter expressing their discontent, which was published on the internet. In the letter, they accused Pope Francis of deviating from Catholic teachings on marriage, sex, and forgiveness. This wasn't the first time they raised concerns. Back in 2016, they wrote a letter to top Catholic leaders expressing their belief that the Pope was teaching incorrect doctrines. In 2017, they criticized the Pope for teaching 7 things that they believed contradicted Catholic beliefs, although they stopped short of labeling it heresy. However, by 2018, they were sure that the Pope's teachings were heresy. They also accused him of showing no remorse for his actions. The letter called on bishops to declare the Pope guilty of heresy and to take disciplinary action against him. They demanded his removal from his position as the leader of the Catholic Church. The letter was signed by 19 well-known Catholics, including law professor Brian McCall, scholar Anna Silvas, and Aidan Nichols, a founder of the Dominican Order. Within 12 hours, more than 1,500 other people added their names to an online petition supporting what the letter said about the Pope. The letter also mentioned the Pope's stance on divorced and remarried Catholics being allowed to take communion.
Pope's remarks on divorced Catholics are making headlines this morning. He's calling for a more open church, one that embraces people who are divorced and remarried. Under Catholic teachings, unless a marriage is annulled, Catholics who are divorced and remarried are barred from receiving communion.
Despite the Catholic Church's teaching that marriage should be lifelong. According to the letter, the Pope's actions were altering significant Catholic beliefs about what's right and wrong. They argued that he was leading people to believe that morality depends on each individual, rather than having clear rules from the Church. The supporters of the letter took this issue seriously and wanted to address it. Well, what exactly did they say? Those who support the letter claim they are bravely defending traditional Catholic beliefs from changes by Pope Francis that they believe are incorrect and could confuse people. But critics and Pope Francis supporters argue that it's unfair to challenge the Pope's authority. Hold your breath, because we're about to enter the most thrilling part of this video. Recently, the Pope made what could possibly be his strongest statement yet. He said that it was wrong to not bless the union of same-sex couples. Catholic priests are now allowed to bless same-sex couples, as Pope Francis formally changed Vatican policy.
Landmark ruling from the Vatican. Pope Francis is now announcing that Roman Catholic priests can administer blessings to same-sex couples with some exceptions. It's a massive change in Vatican policy, with Vatican officials saying that those seeking God's love and mercy.
In response to criticism directed at him for this decision, Pope Francis did not shy away from addressing the controversy head-on. He responded by saying he sees hypocrisy in the objections. He pointed out that nobody gets upset if he blesses a businessman who might exploit others, which he considers a serious sin, but there's controversy when he blesses a homosexual couple. The Pope gained attention early in his papacy for saying, "Who am I to judge?" when asked about homosexuality. Since then, he's been dedicated to creating a more inclusive and welcoming atmosphere within the Catholic Church. However, Pope Francis's approach has not been without its critics. Conservatives within the Church argue that his emphasis on inclusivity could compromise the Church's moral teachings. They contend that by endorsing blessings for same-sex couples, the Pope may be damaging the integrity of long-standing principles of the Church's doctrine and ruining the Church's moral authority. Despite these objections, Pope Francis remains resolute in his belief that extending blessings to same-sex couples is consistent with the core values of Christianity, namely love, compassion, and acceptance. To understand why the Pope gave these controversial opinions, let's look at his Catholic lifestyle. Get ready to be blown away.